Okay, winning the game of capitalism. Get out of the rat race by building assets and pass them tax-free over to your next generation for investment property 3. I built $2.1 million equity and $9,000 a month cash flow between year 2010 and 2021. We were guaranteed by our financial advisor that we can retire in November 2021 with this asset. 2010, I moved from Tokyo to Columbus, Ohio, bought my first 4-unit apartment building in Marion, Ohio. Next year, I got licensed to be Ohio Realtor and put together a business model of matching Japanese expats family rental home needs and investors' long-term tenant needs together. Not only we helped investors to buy homes that expats family decided to move in, so you have a long-term tenant at the time of closing or at the time of purchase. We also bought those properties, happened to be one a year. Whenever we couldn't identify the investor, we bought it ourselves because we needed to move those expats family into the home. So we talked about 2012 acquired Renfrew Street, and then 2013 McIntyre Drive, and this is going to be the third property, 2014 Sutter Parkway, Dublin, Ohio. Since then, we've invested in many properties, and also our company Nihongo-de-USA's employees together both invested into single-family home. Also, company invested into properties. So this is an example of what happened after the acquisition of the property over the years. Property number 3, Dublin City School, Sutter Parkway. The purchase price was $169,500. Back then, the property tax was $4,710. We financed $127,125 at 5.95 interest rate. Monthly PITI came to $1,210. This was September 26, 2013. These numbers I'm talking about is as of December 31st of 2022. We invested 25% down payment of the total purchase price plus closing cost, which came to $43,375. Since then, we refinanced twice for this property because interest dropped to 4.63%, and we dropped PITI to $1,143. Also again during the COVID, July 2021, 3.75%. And our monthly PITI came to $1,022. The picture of the property you can see, this is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 2-car garage. It was built in 1989. The size of the house is 1,248 square feet. You might be more familiar if you're from centric countries. It's 116 square meters. The motivation to buy this house was Honda Expat agreed to lease this house for $1,800 a month at closing. So PITI originally was $1,210. We can see that we have a cash flow of $410. So we had no reason why not to buy this house. Closing was September 26th, and we had a house cleaning and carpet cleaning. September 30th, 2013 to January 31st, 2014, first Honda Expat tenant moved in for $1,800 for 4 months. He moved out in 4 months because he complained that a little bit too much about details of the house. This is not a brand new home, and there are things that need some renovation, but we didn't plan to do that, so we decided to replace the tenants. February 1st, second expat, also Honda expat tenant moved in for 1,800, and later housing allowance went up to 1,900. We raised our rent to 1,900. So this second tenant lived in this house for 54 months. During that time, on December 19th, 2014, we refinanced and interest rate dropped to 4.63%. As a result, PITI came to 1,143. Cash flow grew from 410 to 477. First, refinance to grow cash flow happened. January 1st, 2017, lease renewal and rent increased to 1,900. Again, cash flow grew from $477 to $577. Tenant moved out and renovation happened. August 15th, 2018, tenant moved back to Japan and renovation work took place for 6 weeks. We spent $14,000. We also asked tenant for renovation, part of the renovation, because when they moved out of this house, the kitchen was greasy. That came from tenant's responsibility. So therefore, tenant gave up security deposit of 1,800 and extra $3,000. October 11th, 2018, upon completion of renovation work, third tenant, Honda supplier Expat, moved in for $2,000 for 25 months. Again, cash flow grew from $577 to $677. On November 9th, 2020, tenant returned to Japan and moved out. Renovation work took place for 3 weeks, and this time we spent $8,450. We did full bath renovation and painted brown handrail to white and cut down and overgrow front tree. On February 8th, 2021, fourth Honda Expat tenant moved in for 1,900. He negotiated the rent because he moved in alone first before family joined. Now this was during the COVID. So he promised to increase the rent to 2,000 in 1 year. So we took that negotiation. We refinanced for the second time. Cash flow grew. July 2021, interest rate dropped from 4.63% to 3.75%. And PITI monthly payment dropped from $1,143 to $1,022. Cash flow went up to $798. February 1st, 2022, rent increased from 1,900 to 2,000 as promised. Cash flow again increased to $898. On January 1st, 2024, we plan to increase rent to $2,000 to $2,300. That's the market rate back then, and cash flow was going to grow to $1,198. There are 3 things that we can learn from this process. We put down 25% instead of minimal 20% because we wanted to realize a better cash flow from the beginning. Lesson: is that cash flow is something you can create by the size of down payment you put down. This is true. I am recording this on January 10th of 2025. Interest rate is a little higher than back then. It's 6.5%. But when you compare to 2013, you can see it's not that much different, right? We paid 5.95%. However, property value has doubled. So therefore, in order for you to have a cash flow from the beginning, you probably have to put down more than 25%. But again, it's really totally up to you. What makes you comfortable? How much cash flow monthly do you want to create is really up to you by you deciding how much down payment you're going to put down. 2, cash flow can grow from both refinancing and rent increase. Lesson: if we can place a tenant, buy it. You can always grow cash flow over the years. You can see that not only you can decide the cash flow amount in the beginning, but at the same time, over the years, a cash flow can grow 2 ways. One, by refinancing. You don't have to wait for the drop of the interest rate unnecessarily, because as you pay down the capital amount, if you refinance the whole balance with another 30 years, you can drop monthly payment that way. Another way, your rent grows with the inflation. So lesson is like, if you have a tenant at closing, always buy it and play how much down payment you put down, and that would decide the cash flow. And over the years, you can always grow the cash flow. Lesson number 3, when second tenant moved out, kitchen was very well used and greasy. We decided to renovate, and tenant paid partially for the renovation too, because that was partially tenant's responsibility. If we replace or renovate to bring back to the original condition and tenant moved in, then we didn't have to put any extra money. But at that time, we decided to upgrade the kitchen. So on top of how much tenant paid, we added our own money to renovate. So when you have a good upgrade, color schemes, you eliminate the vacancy. And that's why we decided to do that upgrades. And also we can increase the lease. Here is the picture. So left side is when tenant moved in. The right side is after tenant moved out, and we put money to renovate. Which house would you choose to move in? Do not cheap out when it comes to kitchen renovation. Vacancy costs a lot more than renovation itself. Once this kind of renovation happens, you are guaranteed to have a tenant. The key to this business is that how minimize your vacancy. In 2039, when Intel will open up 8 fabs, this house would double again. Lesson today, the best day is to buy a property. You can refinance at a lower rate later to grow cash flow, or you can always grow your rent but from the inflation. Or even if your rate doesn't drop all the way, you can always refinance, make it into another 30 years of the balance. If you want to have a cash flow, you can work it that way. So let's look it over. purchase price was $169,500 on September 26, 2013. We didn't invest that much money because we only put 25% down and we financed. Closing cost plus 25% came to $41,309. At 2022, December 31st, the property value was $365,000. Loan balance was $106,219. So equity was $258,781. Return in comparison to $41,309 was 626%. Income gain. Invested $41,309. Total income to this point was $212,200. We returned loan balance of $129,533, and other costs for renovation and repairs came to $30,372. The cash flow, $52,295. That is 127% against $41,309. Capital gain, $258,781. Income gain, $52,295. Total, $311,076. Invested $41,309. So the total return came to 753%. You can see the capital gain is a lot bigger than cash flow, but at the same time, cash flow, you can grow it over the years as well. So this is the total numbers that we realized. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the next presentation.